A small adjustment to our internal space can have a massive transformational effect in our lives. So, what even is personal growth or self-improvement? And why is it so important? Why should my focus be on changing myself and not just accepting myself? To challenge your current view of what self-improvement may be, it doesn't actually imply a need to change who you are, or an undertone of not being accepting of who you are and where you are at in life right now. It is, in fact, the exact opposite. Personal growth and self improvement aim to help you become more of your true, uninhibited by fear and doubt, authentic self. The purpose is to take things away that aren't you and allow you to simply be who you are without getting snagged by doubts, fears, bad habits, and things you don't want to be, things you don't feel like are the real you. It's not that you are chasing health and happiness, it's that you are aiming to remove anything standing in your way, to shed any blocks that are preventing you from being at a natural state of health and happiness that already exists inside of you. We just need to uncover it. Self-improvement and personal growth can't be achieved without first radically and fully accepting who you are right now and where you are at right now. You must accept something the way that it is before you can hope to change it. The two terms self-improvement and personal growth are somewhat interchangeable, but have slightly different implications. Self-improvement is the hope to utilize our own skill set and independent capability to improve oneself, to look at an area of yourself, your behaviors, your thoughts, your life circumstances, your choices, etc., and work to improve upon them, to refresh them, to upgrade them, to make them better. This doesn't need to have a negative undertone that who you are right now is not good enough. That is not the message here. You can be happy with where you are and who you are right now, and still wish to continue to improve your life. Desiring to improve does not necessarily mean you are unhappy or ungrateful, or not good enough already. It simply means you have a goal or a dream, and you are striving to reach it. In fact, loving yourself with whatever flaws you currently have and being grateful for whatever life you currently have, even if it feels like it's lacking, are important aspects of this process that you need in order to have success. Personal growth implies that you are growing and evolving as a person. Personal growth is the idea that as you turn inward and face your fears, become honest with yourself and do the hard work, not turning away from your challenges but facing them, you grow as an individual. You become more secure, more happy, more independent, more capable, more loving. You become a better version of who you already are. One that is not encumbered by fear and doubt, but has faith in oneself and continues onward and upward. There is nothing wrong with being content with where you are. In fact, being at peace with yourself and your life is the main goal here. However, if you are unhappy, unhealthy, and/or desiring something more, feeling like something is missing, or feeling stuck and lost, feeling the need to strive for more is a crucial step in the right direction. It is a motivating spark that can grow into a larger flame that pushes you to make the changes you need to make internally in your own psyche and externally in your life that will ultimately get you to the place of being completely at peace with yourself and your life. This is why self-improvement and personal growth are so important and why they are so meaningful. They are the intrinsic motivation, the desire for greater things, the inclination to let go of things no longer serving you, the whisper of your soul asking to be set free, to play and dream and conquer, all coming to fruition. Self-improvement and personal growth are taking it within your own hands to make the changes you want to make in your life and have the life that you want to live. Self-improvement is empowering. Personal growth is healing. These things are important because without taking action, without addressing what our minds, hearts, and bodies are desperately craving, we'd be left living our lives on autopilot, forever staying the same, facing the same issues, repeating the same lessons without learning from them. As someone who has always been fascinated by and incredibly passionate about self-improvement, I frankly would feel that life would be meaningless without the desire to improve and grow. Why are we here if not to learn? If not to be inspired to make positive change within ourselves and the world around us? If not to engage in relationships that challenge us to look at our own shadows, to overcome our troubled pasts and emerge with new light and wisdom? That is, of course, my own personal opinion, but I hope you found some inspiration in it. Personal growth and self-improvement are important because they are the drivers of your dreams, your avenues to the life that you want to live, and the person that you want to be. And again, this person you want to be is not someone who is not you. It is you, but with all that inhibits and blocks you taken away. The you that is so free and so confident and so fulfilled that you can accomplish anything that you wish. The life that you want to live is not a different life than you are currently living. It is the life you are living, but farther down on this path. Because of course, we wouldn't be able to get to the life we want and the versions of ourselves we want to be without first having been where and who we are right now. All of what has come before and all of what is now is on the same path as what will come next. It's all part of your journey. This is that window or doorway of opportunity that will allow you to swing open a brand new chapter on this life's journey to a much happier, healthier, more peaceful day-to-day life. But we have to start somewhere, right? Place each next brick on the path ahead of you one at a time. So let's take this one step at a time. So, how do we even begin to improve ourselves? How are you supposed to know where to start or what to do? All you know right now is likely that something's not working. But do you know what's not working, or even what you should or want to replace it with? So overwhelming, right? Let's start with the root of all issues. This may be something you might resist hearing at first because it can be somewhat difficult to hear and accept, but hear me out. Almost all of our issues in our lives, with the exception of traumatic experiences, which by the way is almost always going to be the exception to any self-improvement rule, originates within our own minds, hearts, and bodies' beliefs. That's right, I just said that all of your issues in your life right now start with you. Now, before you get incredibly angered and frustrated and hurt by that statement, just take a deep breath. I'm not at all trying to imply that anything negative in your life that has happened to you was your fault, especially in the case of having dealt with traumatic things in life like accidents, illnesses, the loss of loved ones, abuse, extreme poverty, etc. I put this disclaimer in here because this was an incredibly confusing and difficult thing for me to wrap my head around when I first heard of this concept. It's that initial reaction of, you're saying all the crappy cards I've been dealt are things I created? The audacity of someone to tell me that. What a horrible sentiment. Way to knock me when I'm already down, right? But the point of that is not intended to place blame or even for you to take it personally. Just try to keep an open mind with me for a minute. There are plenty, and I mean plenty, of things in this life that are out of our control. If a meteor came down and hit the planet, you wouldn't possibly deduce that it's because all of humanity invited that experience via our collective mindset and asked for that to happen, and that we deserved it. Or maybe you would, I don't know. But when it comes to our day-to-day lives, our relationships, our work life, our wellness practices, there's a whole lot in there that we actually do have influence on. I won't say control, because that word implies that we can be above these things, manipulating them like marionette puppets, with full say in how things play out. I say influence because that's what it is. We show up and meet our day-to-day lives and the people and places in them with whatever it is we bring to our half of the equation. We can control only our half of the equation. We still have to interact with whatever is going on outside of our control. We can influence the outside circumstances, but we cannot seek to fully control them. We can't control the way the wind blows into our little sailboat on the water here. We can't control which direction the gusts come from or how hard it hits us. But we can control our sails. We can control how we respond. We can control how we work in the circumstances within our lives, how we meet the events that cross our path. We can control what we think about our experiences and the meaning we choose to derive from them. We can influence what happens to us by controlling our half of the equation. This, in fact, is why you should not blame yourself at first hearing that earlier statement like I did. I interpreted it poorly because I wasn't properly explained the nuance of what that really means. The bad things that have happened to you are not necessarily your fault. This is the wrong terminology. How can you be at fault for something that only half of which you were able to control? You can choose to show up to life in a certain way, and we must trust that whatever meets us on the other half of that equation is what is supposed to be there, if you believe in that kind of thing. All of this is actually meant to be incredibly empowering. Once you realize that you do have influence within your own life circumstances, it now drops a great deal of personal power in your lap. It puts you back at the helm of your own life. If you think about a math equation, algebra in particular, you know that if you change one side of the equation, the other side in turn must shift in order to still be an equation, meaning that the two sides are equal or in alignment. So let's take this equation at the bottom of the screen. If I change any value on either side of this equation, whatever is on the other side of the equal sign will have to adapt and adjust in order for it to still remain an equation. I can't change or alter either side of this equation without forcing the other side to adapt. Otherwise, the equation would be broken. By the laws of math and science, it just wouldn't work. It's the same with your life. Let me give you an example. Let's say you work in a dreary office with dreary coworkers, and each day that you come into the co-working space, the room is dark and gloomy and everyone is in a bad mood. No one is happy. Most of this environment, other people's moods, the things that go wrong throughout the day with the clients on the under end of their phone calls, etc., is out of your control. But some of what is in this environment is within your control. You are a factor in this equation. Are you not? Let's say you decide to walk in one day with a big bouquet of flowers, a box of donuts, and a bright new lamp and put them all in the center of the room on the conference table. You've brightened up the room, given the rest of the office a reason to pause and smell the flowers and enjoy a delicious snack. You've dramatically shifted your side of the equation. You have influenced the circumstances. Your side of what you have created within the environment now has an effect on everyone and everything else within that environment, and things begin to shift in a ripple effect. The person who comes by to smell the flower now has taken a deep breath and gotten a moment of pause. They may now feel more able to handle their next task. The person who came by and grabbed a donut is now feeling giddy and light, and maybe even needed some extra blood sugar to keep them going. Now they're at their desk, speaking much more happily to the client on the phone, and have more energy within themselves to be helpful. Even if no one chooses to come smell the flowers or grab a donut, they are all being affected by the upgrade in lighting in the room, whether they like it or not. This may sound like a strange example, but my point is, you have influence, you have power. The biggest struggle we can get into in our day-to-day lives when we are unhappy or unhealthy is to start to believe that we have no power. We start to become hopeless and discouraged. And when we don't believe we have any say in what is happening to us, that is when we slip into a dangerous territory where we are unhealthy, unhappy, and have lost the desire to do anything about it. If you change the way you show up at work, the way you show up in your intimate relationships, the way you approach your daily routine of what you eat, how you move your body, etc., by universal law, the rest of your life and the tangible things that are interacting with you have to shift in some form or another. You may not be able to control someone stepping over your boundary, but you can influence this interaction by how you respond. If you typically respond by apologizing, shriveling up, or making yourself smaller and pleasing the other person, and then one day you respond to the same issue by saying no, when you would have usually said yes, saying, "I did not appreciate your tone," when you would have otherwise said, "Oh, my bad, I'm sorry." You change the entire dynamic of that interaction by changing only your side of the equation. I hope this is starting to make some sense to you. Understanding that the place to start when it comes to healing your life is you, your internal space, your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about your life, your ability to self-soothe, your ability to muster up healthy responses, your mindset, will completely give you your power back and help you close up all the other places in your life that you might be expending unnecessary energy. When you realize that when you change your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about your life, it has a ripple effect onwards and outwards, emanating from the changes you've made internally, you become empowered, energized, and free. So why focus on mindset? I thought you just said that we need to change how we show up in the world, that is the core of self-improvement. That sounds more like taking action, and less like the self-talk that goes on in my head. Well, yes, you are right. However, if you think further on where your choices and actions stem from, you can see that they aren't random and spontaneous. All of our behaviors, choices, actions, spoken words all originate from our own belief systems. So that, my friend, is where we start, and truthfully, the most impactful of what we do in self-improvement. Because remember, when you reel all of your energy back in from the external things you were trying to control that you actually don't have control over, and put it to use on the actual core of where your side of the equation stems from, it creates a powerful shift that has a ripple effect on each and every interaction we have, each and every choice we make, each and every relationship we create from there on out. And that is, in fact, how we end up seeing the tangible, external changes that we were really after in the first place. In fact, changing your own programming of how you operate in your own life is the only way to truly achieve the external results in your life that you want so badly. To have a more loving, supportive relationship, a larger, more robust bank account, more stamina and energy in your body to do the things that you want to do. When you want to solve a problem, you go to the source, the very, very first origin place that it stemmed from. A small adjustment to our internal space can have a massive transformational effect in our lives. Like a small pebble being dropped in water, as the ripple extends outwards, it becomes larger and larger. A small ripple has the potential to become a massive wave once it actually reaches the tangible, physical shoreline. Wayne Dwyer once said, "Change the way that you look at things, and the things you look at change." Powerful stuff, huh? So let's talk about mindset, conditioning, and limiting beliefs. Your mindset is comprised of a variety of different kinds of belief systems, or things you know or perceive to be true, the way you see yourself, the world, and your life, and what's possible for you. They are your expectations, what you know to be true about yourself and life, such as you know that if you drop a ball in midair, it will fall and hit the ground because you know gravity exists and what it does. You know the rules of gravity because you've had plenty of past experiences of things falling to the ground because of gravity that confirm that that is in fact true. But you can also harbor beliefs and hold on to truths based on past experiences that confirm things that aren't necessarily always true or accurate. For instance, you may believe that setting boundaries never works, or there's no such thing as a truly happy relationship, or I'm not smart enough to own my own business. Maybe it is true that setting boundaries have been difficult in the past, that you have had bad relationship experiences in the past, or that you have struggled with bringing your own ideas to fruition in the past. But that does not mean that they are constant universal truths. That does not mean that they are necessarily rules that will always predict the same outcome in life for you. And since these belief systems, these perceived truths, govern how we go about approaching our lives, it can be detrimental to hold on to beliefs that set us up to fail or put limits on our options before we've even scoped them out. They can sabotage our own attempts for growth or achieving health and happiness. If the right person comes along who will finally treat you right, but you believe that all relationships will fail and there is no such thing as a happy relationship, you will pass them up and write them off before you even have confirmation in this present moment that that is in fact true, solely based on your past experiences that doom you to repeat cycles. Previous experiences can have a powerful influence if we don't consciously evaluate and choose how we will operate going forward. In this example, this belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the only relationships you will see and believe to be real are the ones that prove to be unhealthy or unhappy. This is why the set of beliefs and views that you hold on life and what is possible for you, which in turn govern how you think, behave, act, and even feel, is the root to all positive change in your life and is the most effective place to start. These perceived truths are often subconscious rules that we have drawn around our experience, and they can operate on autopilot like a computer program running in our minds in the background until we bring our conscious awareness to them. The amazing thing is, once we bring our conscious awareness to these rules, we have the ability to decide whether or not we want to keep them, whether or not they are in fact supportive. We can challenge these truths and evaluate whether or not they are indeed true, or rather something we've been taught by someone else who had an ill view of their own world. As human beings, and especially as HSPs, we can be very impressionable, especially when we are young, and look to those around us to show and teach us how the world works. When we first learn about the world, we have no frame of reference with which to be discerning about whether something is indeed true, and whether it's beneficial for us to adopt this belief. Some rules that we are taught can be incredibly helpful and supportive to our success, health, and happiness in life, and others not so much. But until we bring our awareness to those unsupportive ones and challenge them, our brains will have no reason to believe that they are not truths with which to live by and expect from our surroundings. Let me give you an example. A young girl is interested in learning to rock climb and is told by her parents anytime she expresses interest that physical activities like outdoor sports are not suited for girls and are better suited for boys because they are stronger and more resilient and capable of succeeding in areas that require physical athleticism. She assumes her parents, her main source of information about the world, know what is true and are sharing the rules of the world with her. She accepts these beliefs as her own. This steers her away from her own intuition and internal decision maker, and she begins to adopt this belief that men are stronger than women as a fundamental truth that will guide her in life. Her parents may very well have just been trying to keep her safe, and shared this with her as a way of discouraging an activity where she might get hurt, or have genuinely believed this truth themselves because this is what they were taught, and therefore thought they were doing good by their daughter by helping her learn about the world. Even if their intentions were good, you can see how this can be detrimental in the young girl's life later on, and can translate to and have a ripple effect on several areas of her life. She may carry a belief that she is not as strong or capable as any man in life that she encounters, which may make her feel like she needs men in her life to do things that she thinks she can't, that she shouldn't apply for a job against other male competitors, or never believe she can physically become strong and fit, and therefore never try to get in shape and experience the benefit of being physically strong. It is in fact very possible for women to build muscle, become incredibly strong inside and out, be very capable, and succeed in athleticism. Even though this rule about life may have felt very true to her parents, was it in fact true? Was it in fact supportive? As a self-aware, conscious adult, you have the opportunity to rewrite beliefs you discover within yourself that are not supportive to your success, health, and happiness in life. Now let's look at a supportive example. While playing a playground game with his siblings, a young boy falls and hurts himself and starts to cry, and his older brother tells him, not that he shouldn't cry or feel pain or man up, but that falling down is a normal part of life, and that it's okay to acknowledge the pain and cry it out, and also lets him know that once he feels ready, the young boy can return to the playground with his siblings and they will welcome him back into the game. The belief the older brother just instilled in his young sibling is that it is okay to feel his feelings and acknowledge pain in life, and being told from an older male figure in his life also helps to instill the fact that it is acceptable and welcomed for men to acknowledge their feelings and be respectful of each other's emotions. The young boy now believes as a truth that it is okay for him to feel all of his feelings, and thinks that it is a truth that he can get through painful experiences and be okay. This can have a profound and positive ripple effect on the boy's life. He may take this belief and apply it to his relationships, and have a healthier relationship to his own feelings, which can make him more compassionate to those he comes in contact with, spreading respect and positivity wherever he goes. This can also greatly impact his overall wellness as an individual. The older brother in this example may have had the same intention as the parents in the previous example, to help teach a young family member how to navigate life. But one belief was not supportive, whereas the other one was. When these types of early experiences are repeated over and over, this is what we call conditioning. Just like if you train to play a sport day in and day out, over time you develop a strong muscle memory of how to respond and how to navigate each play, etc. The more you experience something, the more it trains you to expect the same thing and respond accordingly, which is why, to put it simply, it's important to train yourself to anticipate personal success versus personal failure. Beliefs that are unsupportive limit our perception of what we think is possible for us to achieve or experience. This type of life rule is what we call a limiting belief, because it quite literally is a belief that limits your perceived possibilities in life. It draws a boundary around what you believe you are capable of achieving or experiencing. It's like taking a piece of chalk and drawing a circle around yourself and then telling yourself and believing that you are not able to cross it. They are self-imposed glass ceilings. Now, some of us may have very real limits, like how much money we have in our bank account, or an artificial joint or limb that makes it not possible to do a certain physical activity. But even these seemingly concrete limits may not always be so concrete. We've seen and heard stories about people who have been told they'd never walk again, somehow heal and recover so well that they completely blow expectations out of the water and go on to achieve incredible things like becoming an athlete, even excelling beyond those who didn't have any known physical challenges. We've seen and heard stories of people who were bankrupt coming up with a brilliant idea and pitching it in the right place and fairly quickly becoming wealthy. Even if you truly feel there are several limits in your life that are not just your perception, just let that go for 1 minute and focus on simply challenging the idea that some of your limiting beliefs about what's possible for you may be false. What if it was possible for you to follow your dream and have it be financially supportive? What if it was possible for you to find the love of your life after you turn 50? What if it was possible for you to still find a way to have a child? What if you can climb out of debt? We spend so much of our lives worrying about the what ifs in the negative sense. Just for a little while, I'm inviting you to flip this way of thinking in your mind, and even if it feels silly or impossible at first, imagine the what ifs in the positive. Even if it seems like it's impossible at first, all you need is one example of one human being who has accomplished something similar to prove that it is not impossible. But first, let's just try to bring our awareness to what our limiting beliefs even are. We've got to consciously identify them, become aware of them, approach our mindset with curiosity and honesty and acceptance without judgment or censorship in order to begin to change our beliefs. I've created an exercise that can walk you through this process step by step, bringing awareness to and challenging unsupportive belief systems. So first, I'd like you to get out a journal and start a new page. Journal or make a bullet point list of any and all unsupportive beliefs you think you have been harboring about life and or about yourself. After you've created a long list, I want you to sit back and view them from a neutral place. Just look at the statements on the page as if someone else wrote them. And from now on, I want you to start to challenge them. As then ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really a belief I want to hold about life? Is this belief still supporting or serving me in some way? Is this belief in alignment with my goals and conducive to me achieving what I want in life? Would the person who has accomplished what I want to accomplish in life believe or live by this statement? If not, start flipping these belief statements in your mind. Write the opposite down on the paper, and as time goes on in your life, try and find evidence in real life that supports these statements to be true, whether it's an example from your own life or someone else's that you know. And remember, all you need is one piece of real-life evidence from your life or someone else's to shatter the limiting belief and prove that it is in fact possible. So before you do this exercise, I want to leave some important notes here for you to keep in mind. This exercise is meant to help you start challenging any unsupportive beliefs that you have. This is not in any way meant to suggest that you should change religious beliefs. I'm only talking about mindset here, okay? This should go without saying, but just in case, don't challenge beliefs that have to do with safety, right? Like the belief that humans can't fly or that you can't touch the stove without getting burned, that kind of thing. The goal here is to start with your mindset. The goal is not about making any tangible changes or taking any significant action in your life just yet. And finally, the self-improvement journey is lifelong. Approach transformation slow and steady, and the results will unfold naturally without force. Give yourself space and time to adjust to your new mindset and belief systems. So, the first chapter of your self-improvement journey is now coming to a close, and you now will be deciding what's next for you, what next chapter you want to begin to ultimately reach the goals that you have for yourself. Whether you feel the best thing for you to do next is join my program, go to therapy, look for a new job, end a toxic relationship, move to a new city, or something else entirely. Whatever it is, it will likely require you to face fears, overcome obstacles, and challenge outdated belief systems in your mind. So in the effort to set you up for success, I want to assist you in shattering the last limiting beliefs that may stop you from making the changes that you want to make in your life from here on out. So let's summarize all the sneaky limiting beliefs that can get in your way of following through on whatever it is you may want to do next for yourself, in the areas of health, career, or relationships, or all of the above, and what to replace them with in those crucial moments of decision making. Do I really want to take a risk right now, instead of just continuing to play it safe? Taking a risk may feel more stressful, but sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone, if it's in a way that you feel deep down is best for you, can actually lead to a much better outcome than staying in whatever feels safe. Safety can actually be a disguise for what is simply familiar, and familiar may not actually be what is best for you, right? It just may be what you are used to. It is smart to take calculated, insightful risks to improve your well-being. Is this really that important for me right now? If it's hard for you to justify doing something for yourself because it may feel selfish, think about the effect that this not only has on you and your life, but the lives of others, of those you love, and those who may need whatever gifts and talents you have to share that you aren't able to share with others because you haven't first taken care of yourself. I don't have the time right now. This feeling of not having enough time will only compound later. Addressing whatever it is draining you right now will result in saving you time down the road and granting you time that this struggle may rob you of if you continue to let it go unresolved. I'm already overwhelmed. While this may feel like a very true reality for you, it could very likely be that the reason you feel so overwhelmed in the first place is because the main issue of your well-being and/or your internal happiness is not actually being addressed. Nothing feels manageable when the core of your own personal world is shaky. Doing what it is you feel you need to do for yourself, even if it puts a few other things on hold right now, will very quickly help you turn things around so that everything else becomes more manageable, much more so than had you ignored your own foundation. I don't have extra cash that I can use to implement any ideas or solutions. If something you want to do truly feels like the right thing to do for your own health and happiness, then it automatically is a smart decision when it comes to your resources. Not just money, but time and energy too. Because ultimately, what is best for your health and happiness will also support your financial success, your wealth of energy, and your time available to devote to things in your life. It's very possible that ignoring what you need for your health and happiness will result in draining more of your resources in the long run. Money is simply a resource, and you can be creative in terms of ways to find the funds to support whatever it is that you want to do for yourself next. I'll lose relationships if I change. In fact, the only relationships that you will lose by prioritizing your health and happiness are the relationships that were never truly genuine, authentic, healthy, supportive relationships in the first place. Taking responsibility for your own well-being can only improve truly loving relationships, and your friends and family will likely thank you, be happy for you, and encourage you to do what is best for you. I can just keep learning and don't need to actually take any action or implement any changes. Again, a fear-based thought trying to keep you from evolving. Change feels threatening at a survival level, but it is necessary and healing when it comes to personal growth. At the end of the day, no matter how much knowledge you gain, it doesn't serve you if you don't ultimately use it to improve the tangible aspects of your day-to-day life. Find whatever way feels right to you to take a solid step forward towards whatever goals you want to accomplish, that you know will improve your health and happiness within your own personal health, relationships, and career. I hope that whatever is next for you, whether you decide to join my program, go to therapy, go on a wellness retreat, find a more fulfilling job, cut ties with a toxic relationship, or any combination of the above, that you have the confidence in yourself and the success mindset you need to get to where you want to go. Only you can decide what is best for you along the way, and I encourage you to do so. Remember, you are the captain of your own ship. You may not be able to control the water or the wind, but you can carve your own path. You can influence your own outcomes. You can utilize your own skill sets and tools to direct the sails and steer your own ship.